Our next speaker is Ryan Furness with Nearest You, and let's kick it off with a standing ovation for our next speaker, Ryan.
Thanks, Patrick. This is a fun one. I'm also on this side of town. I'm in Richfield, but I've been to several 1 million Cups, but this is my first here, so I should also get a mug for that. I get double mugs today, filled with coffee, hopefully. But so I used to go to the St. Paul one more frequently. I don't go down to St. Paul all that much, so it's hard to get down there. I also work in Rochester. I'm a faculty member at the University of Minnesota, Rochester. For those of you who didn't know, that's my day job, as it were. I teach the Spanish for health sciences, so medical Spanish for the students. The degree down in the University of Minnesota Rochester is health science specific. But on the side, and primarily in the summer and over the breaks, I focus on startups. And I have two businesses besides this, Nearest You. One is called No Ordinary Journey. It's an apparel manufacturing company based in Minneapolis here. We do for motorcycles and other people, but Nearest You is why I'm here today, and I think that's the problem that we started to solve 3 years ago with a co-founder who's no longer a co-founder, but is a consultant with us still, is how do we support local products? How do we answer this question of where can I find a local craft product near me, wherever I am? And when we try, as consumers, we were really struggling with going to websites. I'm sure you've all been on a certain website for a company and you're like, where can I find this product? They have a crappy little map embed. On a mobile device especially, you're pinching and you're squeezing and you're pressing this little orange dot, or there's like 500 little orange dots, and and if you're on an iPhone especially, it's really challenging because everything is based on Google and Google Maps. So I don't have a slide to show you this, but as an example, you can click on that and you'll be taken into a browser experience on your Safari iOS, and it will give you a text-based turn-by-turn. Go up half a mile, turn right. I mean, when you're driving, when you're on your bike, what a pain in the butt that is. And so we set out to solve this problem, to help make a better store locator for food and beverage brands, especially craft, but we're starting to get a little bigger than that because brands are contacting us and they're bigger than, say, just a local craft brand that's distributed in Minnesota. So I started 3 years ago with this crazy idea, and we started down a path of coffee, and it proved really, really challenging. One, because people aren't that loyal. Like, yeah, we love our Starbucks or our Caribou or whatever, but going out of my way 3 miles to get Peace Coffee doesn't always happen. Going out of my way to get, Dunbar, whatever. But so a lot of people, we just realized early on that a coffee finder was not really what we wanted to build. And I knew beer and spirits were going to be where it was at. So it took us a couple of years to kind of figure out the technology. We originally outsourced everything, which I'd love to tell that tale someday as well. It was really, really hard. We had done in India, and I felt like we got a little screwed by some of that, and that was our own inability to know what was good and what was not, and what we really wanted as a final product. But ultimately, we brought it all back, and we have a local, essentially an acting CTO that now works with us. Great guy, Peter Kerwin, and so he and I have kind of pushed this thing to the next level. We relaunched in September of 2017. So what we do then is we build this technology, these store locators for companies. We embed that technology on their website. And additionally, we also aggregate all of those store locators from all of those brands onto a single website, nearestyou.com. So you as a consumer can actually go to Nearest You, and you can all do it right now. Go to Nearest You and search for local products. Now, we don't have everyone, of course. It's only the clients that we work with. But you can click on, for example, beer. So really, we're working for that holy grail, right? The ultimate craft beer finder. Harder than it looks, but certainly. So you can click on beer, and you're shown the brands that are nearest to you that are sold or served in any location. So we get that data from the brands themselves or the distributors. So we get their distribution reports, or we get the information from the brands. So we can actually do that managing and updating for them. And just speaking to automation, we're working on that right now because we get a lot of data from all of the brands that work with us. They keep sending in monthly reports. So we're trying to automate that with our API for Foursquare. So we use Foursquare's API location data, not Google's. Doesn't matter really, but that's what we went with. So that's what we do. We've essentially become a website for search and discovery of craft food and beverage brands. And we have about, I think we're over 60 now. We just signed on Social Cider yesterday, so that was fun. What happened here?
That says I should contact you.
You should, please do. Yeah, I don't know why beer isn't working. You can probably search for the brand though. So if you search for Fair State, hopefully that will work. If you've got your location services on.
I set for the zip code.
Oh, that was a zip search? Yeah, zip search. I hate zip search. Not only for this reason, but it's a terrible, who knows their zip code, right? So now it works.
That's what pops up first. So
Good, I'm glad it works, at least there. But zip code was something I wanted to leave off altogether. I hate zip code because you only know it at home and in your workplace, right? A mobile user never knows their zip code. But almost every map out there, every technology asks for your zip code. It's like, I don't know it. If I'm traveling, I don't know it. We have brands in 9 states now that use our platform. So when you're traveling to another country, another state like Maryland or something, you'll find some breweries and some distilleries that are there and that are available in those regions. We find some national brands, Schilling Cider out in Washington. But you're able to see that they're also available here. So if you click on what we will add is a cider category, you'll see that. But I think we've hit 6 minutes, Patrick. So the technology works. We charge the brands by the number of locations they have. So smaller brands pay less than larger brands. But that's really the platform that we're pushing now, and we're signing on brands pretty much weekly these days. So good, that's good for us.
And Brian, our first question, you've done a number of 1 million cups, so you know what's coming. What can this community do for you?
Well, I think tell us about errors like that, first of all. But also, no, more importantly is, do you know feedback, honestly, like from the site perspective, from the UI, I just hired a front-end person actually for us to start to revamp what we're doing. So in the next month or two, you'll see a changed homepage and some changed user functions. But we love feedback. Send it in to us, send it to me personally, send it to hello@nearest-you, like, hey, this would be better if, this could be great if, or if you know people that are working in this space, if you know a brewer, if you know a vintner, if you know anybody that is, even on the retail side, we're starting to talk about, on Nearest You anyway, what would it look like if retailers actually got involved in the store locator process? So if you go to our site, you click on Fair State, and it shows you all the locations, and it says, oh, it's served at it's sold at Zips. What if on that Zips page it said, well, okay, if I get you over here, we'll give you $1 off a 6-pack of Tin Whiskers or Birding Brothers or whatever, Fair State. That would be fun, right? And then the retailer could participate in that ad, for example, and the brand. So bringing those together is our next challenge, because the retailers, I got calls from DC the other day from a retailer that wants to work with us, and we don't have an ad management platform right now that would support that, but they want to work with us because they want to send people to their shop, right?
All right. Well, the 1 Million Cups community is here to support you, so let's ask questions and provide insights in that spirit. I think, Andy, you got your first question.
I had a couple questions.
Yeah.
I went to the Fair State Brewing
Yeah.
website.
Yep.
And I was trying to find like where on that website
Yeah.
your API.
On their site?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's,
was trying to figure out, so the question I guess is, when do you see your biggest demand generator, consumer coming into your specific website, or, talking to brewers,
Yeah.
getting the brewers to start?
It's the on that side is what they really want is the embed. We knew that, and that's what slowed up our we thought everybody could just use our platform, but they all want, and it's smart, they all want for users to stay on their sites, right? They don't want to come to a site like ours, Nearest You. So Lakes and Legends, if you go to lakemonster.com, you'll see it on their homepage and just scroll down, and that's our embed. Fair State has used it in 2 additional products of ours that we're launching. We did it in beta, which is a product-specific locator or a limited release locator. And that was for their Spirit Fowl and their Raspberry Roselle beers. So we just built a single locator, they put it on their blog post, and they embedded that Spirit Fowl finder. I mean, the analytics were off the charts. Thousands of people checked that out. It was really fun because there's all kinds of traffic, but that's another product that we're rolling out. And Fair State hasn't launched our locator on their homepage yet, but they will shortly. They're gonna get rid of whatever they have now.
So it'll pull up like, if I'm looking for Fair State Brewing and I'm in Rosemont.
Yep.
It'll pull up all the liquor stores near me that would carry it.
Liquor stores, bars, restaurants, whatever the data they've given us, and it's usually the last 30 days. So we always tell users to just call a place if they're really looking for something specific, especially beer on tap. It's hard, they can blow out a keg in a weekend, right? And we won't have that information. We'll have it a little bit faster, we'll know the traffic. Like we knew Zips sold out of Fair State really quickly. And so we told Fair State on Monday after a weekend, we saw traffic go crazy, and they called and got more. And their distributor wouldn't have been able to tell them that. So we know there's another real-time products coming down the road in that vein of being able to tell a brand when we think, kind of a predictive sales tool, when we think a product may sell out or be. Maybe that's something that, your customers would find useful at the store, right? Knowing before they get there, or just calling you guys to make sure that it's in stock.
So, considering like what you kind of just said, there's like super valuable information for the bar or even the manufacturer.
Yeah.
Have you thought about just trying to cast the net as wide as you can and just do kind of a land grab and just collect the information as is, and not like charge the manufacturers for this?
We've toyed with more of a freemium model and really working on the data and the data analytics side of it and turning around and selling. We're already talking about a premium service where we're providing analytics and predictive sales stuff back to brands.
Okay.
But that'll come down the road. I think it's a good question, and we're still thinking about it. Just how the problem is still getting the data and still getting it. We're talking to distributors next. So now that we have some brands that are using like Burnix, we have Sociable Cider, Fair State, and another one that use them as their distributor. If we can just go right to the distributor to get the data, then we can leapfrog the brands. We can get faster data. We can get into their API, something along those lines.
Yeah.
But that's our next step. Distributors are a little. As you can imagine, in certain states, they're very protective of that data. They own it essentially. Even though the brand is where it's sold, the brand does not own the location data. The distributor owns that data. So tricky. Chris,
So a referral, we just send them to your app?
please do.
So
hello@nearestyou.com.
then nobody has to call you or anything. I haven't looked at it, so.
Yeah, hello@nearestyou or Ryan@nearestyou. Yeah, .com. Yeah, and also, we chose to do a website, a web app. And I used to call it a web app, but people got that confused and they looked on the iTunes store. We chose not to do an app because the numbers just don't play out right. You've got to build 2 apps and you've got to keep a native website running. And people don't use apps. They have 6 apps that I think the number is 6 or 7 that they use on a regular basis, and everything else gets relegated to page 6 and then deleted, right?
But you can put it on your mobile.
It's
phone,
mobile.
but-
Yeah, I mean, you could do a workaround to actually add it to your page on your phone, but it's really just a website. Go to nearestyou.com, and that's it.
Pricing for a brand?
The average brand that's in about 300 locations pays about 10 cents per location, so $30 a month. And we do all the management, which no other service does. So there's all kinds of competitors, so to speak. There's StoreMapper.com, there's StoreLocator.com, there's all these companies, but all they do is they give you the technology so you can embed it on yours, but you are the one that has to update it. Sociable Cider, the owner said to me the other day, he goes, I just want you guys because you'll do all the work. Like, I do not want to do the manual. Like, he's got to go in, they've got to reconcile. So last month's data to this month's data, and then get all the new places in, try to pull out all the old data. Like, we can automate. We're now automating some of that stuff on the back end of ours. So they're just like, yes. Burning Brothers was the same in St. Paul.
So they send you what, like a,
Distribution report.
from where they sent beer or whatever last
That's right.
month?
Yep.
And then
Let me
you
update.
manually do it?
Yep,
or-
we upload it. Well, we don't, I have a tool, we have a CSV upload tool that takes that CSV data and pops it in. Semi-manual.
So you're replacing, they had somebody doing it on their own website?
They all do.
Whatever.
Yeah, they all do. Some of them have uploader tools, like the StoreMapper.com does have a tool, but they're never 100%. You always have to check it against certain data, whether the venue name, the location name is different from the actual name. So if it's a pub and a grill, sometimes it's a gastropub, right, in the data. So there's a lot of reconciliation that happens. And the distributors are really behind the times on data. Like they send us, sometimes they'll send us PDFs. Like, really? PDF? Don't you have this in an Excel sheet you can send us? Like, that's all we need. Sometimes we got a picture once, a picture of an invoice. But Adobe, you can pull some of that stuff out, and we've automated some of that. Again, which is why some of the brands are happy to use us, because they don't have to do the work. It's all about automation. Yeah.
Just curious, at what frequency would you need to update the information for it to be considered fresh? Like on
24
a
hours.
cycle?
No.
How many
It's
cycles before it would get stale?
It's a great question, and I think it's partly why we are not going head first down the road of product level locators. So we're talking with a big brand in southern Minnesota right now, a beer brand. And they've got 5 different that they have on the shelves. We're going to go down the road and see how it works, but honestly, when you tell a consumer that Spirit Foul beer is at this location, we know it's on your map, it's on your, then you're setting yourself up for, you know, a letdown, because it's likely that that went out that weekend. They're gonna get more, but it's gonna be 2 days, 3 days. So when you provide that level of detail, you're actually, I think you're really making it challenging. So what we do is we say, it's very likely that in the last month, these guys, this shop has ordered Spirit Foul beer, call them to make sure it's in, right? Just call, like actually call them, or maybe we'll find another way later, and that's like texting them or, you know, somehow letting them know. But it's a good question. Spirits and off sale are much easier than beer on tap. That's the hardest one because it goes so quickly. Probably user crowdsourcing model is in the future, like Untapped app, if anybody's familiar with the Untapped app. People reverse engineer the Untapped app, which essentially you can tell users use the Untapped app to be very social and say, I'm drinking this beer at this location. And people now are reverse engineering it by saying, I want to go to these locations maybe, but I want to find this beer. Let's see if someone is drinking it in the past couple of days. Untapped doesn't provide what we do because they don't work with the brands, they work with the locations. But anyway, it was interesting that we heard that feedback from users that were using it, so. Tim?
I would think that sending somebody to a place to buy beer on tap and having it be out of stock is exactly what your beer company would want.
Yes, we've also learned that your number one salesperson is the consumer asking for the product, right? So you walk a fine line, and we tell brands this every day. You walk a fine line of having it out of stock and pissing them off, or providing them, you know, getting them in the store, right? Getting them to try to look for your product and call about it and see about it. So there is that. You don't want to piss them off too many times and like have store locator data that's 6 months old, but 15 to 30 days might not be a bad thing. If they go in and say, do you have it? Say, oh, can you guys reorder it? If you get enough requests from customers, you'll look on your sheets, right, or reorder. So there's a fine line, but we don't know what the day fine line is. You know, most brands right now, like Sociable, they update every 30 days, and they think that's sufficient. So we'll do it for them, and they're happy. So if we can make our brands happy, that's what we care about now. Then we'll work on the consumer side.
One other question. The primary user experience then, does that take place on your site or on the
Theirs.
brand site?
We knew it was going to be on theirs. Ours is kind of, I call it the icing on the store locator cake. Nearest2.com is really just, we get a lot of clicks. I mean, we've got hundreds for the Fair State one, for example. People went to our site as well, to nearest2.com/fairstate/Spirit Follow or whatever. But it's for them on their site, their embed.
So if a consumer has a negative experience, that's on the brand or?
Yeah, I mean, it says powered by Nearest2, right? It's not white label on there.
Oh, all right.
So it does say powered by Nearest2, which is a hyperlink to, you know, our site, of course, and they can check it there. But yeah, I mean, that's partly why we held off on the embed until the technology on our end was better, but also because I've seen it already on a couple sites, like there's a California kombucha company that their site's not mobile responsive, but our locator's on it, and it makes us all look crappy.
Yeah.
So I was holding off on that a little bit just because I knew that we'd all be bundled together in that experience, but there's nothing we can do about that. You know, we can ask them, or when are you gonna do a mobile responsive site or whatever. But for the most part, their sites are already there, like most people's sites.
How do you track, like, to me, it seems like your best customer would be a really trendy beer that is going out of stock quickly and is in a high growth mode, right?
Mhm.
And so how do you track that trend to kind of zero in and try to get in front of those influential partners? 'Cause that's,
Yeah, I mean, that's what we did with the limited release one. Is that how you mean? Like, we just did it for a short period of time, and then we actually took off the locator from their website and from our site. So for Spirit Follow and Raspberry Roselle, we actually had it up for 3 weeks, even though there were probably places that still had it, to make sure we just took it off altogether. And, you know, but that's how we did it, was just to, you know, they sent us an updated list within that 3-week period of the places that actually sold out and weren't getting more. So we updated that list, so it showed only 100 of the 200 original places.
I have time for one more question. Go ahead, Dennis.
Not so much a question, but an observation. I just went to Farm and Vine yesterday.
Yeah,
They have an automated system where, you know, you put in your tab and they charge you by the ounce. So I don't know if you guys had a discussion with those guys, but I mean, that's a great way to do, like, look at tap beers and to see like where they're at as far as consumption. Are they out or they're not out?
yeah. Farm and Vine?
Farm and Vine.
Where's that?
Um,
Isn't that new?
right on Plymouth Road.
Just opened up, didn't it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Yeah, certainly something to put on our radar. that's the one thing against automation of social media, that I do a lot of that for our company. I mean, I like Lou's service, and I may end up actually talking to him about it, but I think it's really, because for us, you have another picture of a beer, you have another picture of a cocktail, another, like, if you go to any of the local company, like, they could automate everything that they do, because they're just the same pictures every day. I was just looking at one, a distillery near here. There it is again, a picture of a cocktail with the drink, like, you could just automate that, right? And it wouldn't change it, it would save so much time. But the negative is, I've learned so much from actually being on social media and hearing the tweets and just seeing what consumers are doing and what brands are doing with their products, that I think it would have been a very negative to automate that, or too early for me personally to not know about the spirits and beer industry like I do now. But now I know, and now I can automate it.
Well, let's give a round of applause for that.